Hello everyone, this is Flatline, and today I'm going to be doing a PvT video, and it's going to be kind of like a guide, kind of like a build, but I wouldn't call that actually, because it's more like a stylistic play, and it's going to be a mid-game style that was displayed by Star's sOs in the GSL Code S recently, where he goes for this +1 armor, Chargelot, War Prism style. It looked pretty unique and I wanted to test this out, so this was the first game I did on ladder with this kind of style. Not gonna dive too much into the opener itself, because it's more of the mid game. It doesn't really matter about the opener. There are timings though, because it's a mid game style. You do want to emphasize on timings, and I will cover up the important timings that you need to note, and the important stuff that you need to have to execute this build effectively. So we're just tuning this in the beginning, because like I said, beginning, whoa, I'm not sure what yeah, like I said, the beginning we don't really care about. All you have to do is some kind of 1 gate expand, generally, so you can have some pretty good economy. There's mine. So yeah, this style does have some weaknesses, I will say, and one of the things is, like, if you stay too much on the High Templar style and they actually get to a mass amount of ghosts, you're going to be in deep trouble, because it's going to be really hard for you to get that transition timing with the Colossus. The other weakness to it is very quick MMM, Marines Marauder medevac. But this opponent actually starts to do some Widow Mine stuff, so it's not going to apply to them. Basically, this barrack will have a tech lab and be getting stim and have extra barracks already, but he doesn't do that. So he's not really doing that stim timing or that very quick starport thing that I was referring to. Anyway, so you want to get your Forge and Twilight Council at 8 minutes, around 8 minutes, just to give you some leeway on the build itself. I'm going to suffer a little bit on my economy. This is unfortunate, so my timings on everything is a little bit delayed, but I will, ideally say, basically you want to get the charge and +1 armor started, and then once you have both of those, you want to get your War Prism out. A very key feature that you need to have to make sure is that you have an observer right outside his natural, or wherever his army is going to possibly be, which is most likely at their natural choke point. This is a really important in this style, because you want to time out your drops, your War Prism harass, when they're like around midway on the map, because it forces Terrans to make a very tough decision. You can either come back to their base and defend this drop, or they could go ahead and go all the way to my base and lose a lot of economy back at their base and all that kind of jazz. Well, I have photon overcharge, so that's why I don't really recommend. If you're a Terran player, I would recommend just defending the drop itself. Now, of course, if you have more units in here, like where you can defend it and you still have your army in the front, then go ahead. But priority should be defending this War Prism harass, in my opinion. You do want to get some immortals with this build. You also want to get Templar Archives. Like I said, I saw his army. It's going to be midway on the map. He's going to decide to pick up and go over here. Look at him. He's losing so much when it comes to economy time. Forced to cancel at the 3rd. Just very, very well done. Okay, I'm trying to escape with this, but I ended up actually forgetting. I think I hit S accidentally. You saw the War Prism moving away. I think I accidentally hit S. It's unfortunate. So yeah, you want to get +2 armor, and you actually want to get another forge once +1 armor is done. So you can start +1 attack and +2 armor. That's ideally what you want to do. And the reason why you want to go Templar Archives instead of like Colossus with this style is because the Warp Prism, the Zealots, all mineral intensive. High Templars are just gas intensive. They're pretty cheap when it comes to minerals, whereas Colossus, they're pretty expensive in the both categories, the minerals and gas. So it would be a little bit rough for you to utilize your money in that regard. See, I'm just dumping a lot of Zealots over here. So they're pretty cheap because they're just minerals. What can he do? He has a pretty nice army right here with 4 medevacs. I have Photon Overcharge though, and +2 armor is about to finish up. He can't really commit into this. He just stunned his entire army. He really can't do anything. I have a lot of stalkers back up here. So he just stunned all of his army just to kill off this probe. And that's a setback. My third is a little bit late. That's the other downside to this style, is your third's gonna be generally late with this build. But at the same time, you should be able to do some kind of economic damage against Terran some way. There's that force system right here. His units aren't doing anything. I'm gonna go over here, harass this third, and get my third as well. So this harassing style is really good on this map as well. You actually want to look at the map and see if it benefits this kind of style. So if you're wondering how do you determine if it's really good for this style, is look at the 3rd and the 4th base, because this is generally going to be going towards that stage. You want to encourage the game to go around that area. And if you look at this map, it's really hard to control this 3rd and your natural, and it's even harder once you get a 4th base, because you're so widespread out. It just becomes really difficult. Of course, you can add a sensor tower to kind of help you aid against that, but it's really hard to pull the amount of units that you need to do because of the warp prism mechanic, where you can warp in from 1 zealot to like 15 depending on how many warp gates you have. And that's what makes warp prisms pretty dangerous, and all matchups. In fact, you don't know exactly how much they're going to be committing, and they can always determine how much they want to commit. So once you have Storm, you actually want to be really aggressive on the map, because they should not have any ghosts with their army. As you can see, they don't really have any ghosts. So this was one of the mistakes that I had. My army's way out of position. I had no observers over here. That was unfortunate, so he's going to get a free Nexus here. But at the same time, I'm going to be able to do some kind of harass over here. So I lose my Nexus, but at the same time he's losing a lot of SCVs back over here at his 3rd. And he lost his entire army. So he has to rebuild that army. I feel like I got a little bit ahead in that regard. And I didn't drop my Zealots, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. Darn. Oh, I did. Nice. But I lose it. Oh, I saved it. Nice. Yeah, so he lost more than me. And he's still losing mining time from here. He's losing quite a bit of SCVs. We actually lost the same amount of SCVs. Wow. So it's making me look dumber and dumber. Actually, look at that. I am getting ahead. This 1 Zealot's being a hero. 14 kills. Wow. 16. Unbelievable. Man, he's just scanning everywhere. 20 kills on that Zealot. What a boss. What a boss. Alright, so how do you deal with High Templar or Ghost? In this phase, it's pretty easy, or it's a lot easier to deal with the Ghost. The time where it gets really bad is when they mass up like tremendous amount of Ghosts. But right now he doesn't have that many Ghosts. So you can kind of engage into his army. This is where it comes down to micro, when it's just a few High Templars against a few Ghosts. What you want to do is You want to actually bait them out. You see how I'm pushing forward with my High Templars and forcing them to move up forward with this Ghost, and then you just want to back up. I just overstepped my boundaries there, and that was unfortunate for me. What you want to do is you just want to dive in and then push back out right when you see his Ghost moving forward. Morphing some more Zealots to kind of buffer the damage. Zealots over here at the third, denying this while I'm getting my third saturated. And you want to transition into Colossus. You actually want to go double Robo Colossus. Unfortunately, I forgot to do that. The timing to get double Robo Colossus, or when you want to start going for that, is once this start is set up and finished. So when you want to transition into double Robo Colossus, because like I said, High Templars are really good. In the mid game, it kind of gives you map control, map dominance. It's really hard for them to be out on the map without a Ghost. Because if we accidentally engage into one another, the Terran should lose. Now, when it comes to small number of Ghosts against small number of High Templars, that's still fine for the Protoss player. You just have to micro your way with your High Templars and make sure they don't get all EMP'd like what happened to me. That was unfortunate. I did lose that. I lose that battle, but the reinforcement helped me win that battle in the end. But yeah, and once you establish that third, you want to go into Colossus. And like I said, where it gets really bad is when they mass, like if they have 10 or plus Ghosts or 8 plus Ghosts, that's where your High Templars become really hard to manage or really do anything. Alright, so right now I'm just checking the bases to see how many bases he has. I know I did a lot of damage when it comes to killing his SCVs, his army, and all that kind of jazz. You can see the units loss is getting really ridiculous right now in favor of me. Only had one Robo. I should have had a second Robo. Like I said, you want to go double Robo once you get this third saturated. And I do see I'm trying to get this expansion. This is where I'm going to be engaging. Because like I said, his army should not be able to beat mine. Because all the economic damage I had, it's really hard for him to make Ghosts, to get upgrades, and make Vikings. All that kind of jazz. So it's just really unfortunate for him. Look at that, I pull my Zealots back because they're just going to have to get kited forever. Might as well let my Colossus do a lot of shots while my Zealots aren't going to really do anything. Storms, like I said, without Ghosts, this becomes obsolete. Now he's bringing his Ghosts. Small amount of Ghosts against small amount of High Templars is fine with me. Engage into this. This is what I was saying. This map benefits this kind of harass, this kind of style, because it's really hard to hold this fourth, hold this position, and at the same time hold this position at the third. So his economy is getting worse and worse. I'm going to be going on this side to clean up the job. This is pretty much me going to be like, okay, I just did too much damage to you. There's really nothing he can do about it. I'm going to be expanding as well behind my attack. And he sees my army, so he should position his army in a better spot. Look at this, all of his medevacs are really weak. It's because of the storms. It just does instant 20 plus damage to all the units that's under it. So that's just a lot of energy that's going to be taken on these medevacs. One thing I like to do when I do this style also is when I'm about to engage, I like to warp in or have 4 High Templars back at my pylon. So my first 4 High Templars, when we attack, well, this is really bad for him. He loses all of his Ghosts without even EMPing any of my High Templars, so it's pretty much game at this point. But I do this because if these get EMP'd and we still have another engagement, because chances are we are still going to have to fight. It's a pretty good chance if that happens and we both micro and whatever happens and stuff. I have these back over here storing up energy, so that way I can warp in 4 more High Templars, warp in a lot of Zealots, and have Storm as my reinforcement. And Storm, or reinforcing with Storm, is really strong in PvT. GG from him. So yeah, I like this style a lot. Like I said, there are some downsides to it. I don't particularly like it if they go for no gas expand. I did win a couple of times. Actually, I won all the games where they went for just one max gasless expand. But in my opinion, I felt pretty tight on the money and tight on the timings. Because like I said, the medevacs, or when they're moving out, is a lot sooner than it is if they go gas, just because of how many units they have as well. They feel really confident to be out on the map even before the medevacs are out, just because they have a lot of units. So it pushes up the timer for Terrans to be out on the map. So anyways guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I do really appreciate it. And also, I've been seeing some people actually taking some credit from me. I don't want to sound mean or anything, but that's pretty insulting. And if you actually do that, just please, all I ask is just to put the source to my YouTube channel. That's it. And don't take my credit, because I actually, though it looks like I don't really do that much to make these videos, which is true, because I just pop open OBS and then start recording. I do take a lot of time when it comes to researching though, and refining these builds and figuring out the weakness and whatnot. That does take time. So anyways guys, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.